What's up, everybody? I'm Rick.
And I'm Anna, and welcome to our review to the 1939 movie Goodbye, Mr. Chips. Come have fun with us, and don't forget to subscribe. Released on May 15, 1939, Goodbye, Mr. Chips is an MGM movie based on the 1934 novella of the same title by James Hilton. The film tells the story of an aged teacher and the former headmaster of a boarding school who recalls his career and his personal life over the decades.
That synopsis, a little bit spoilery there with the headmaster part, right?
Yeah, true. That is
comes,
true.
At the very end.
It comes at the very end, yeah, and it's supposed to be a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, we jumped right to the end there. So let's start from the beginning. What did you think of the movie?
The movie was enjoyable, right? It was, in a sense, I feel like for some of these movies, we've had that conversation sometimes too. Like, they're good movies, but I'm always looking for that thing, right? That thing that makes me say, like, oh, this is why you were nominated as one of the best movies of that year, right? Granted, I haven't seen all the movies of 1939. This was a good movie. I'm not saying it was bad, but it was the movie, right?
Right. I feel like it under-delivered a little bit on like the plot that it had, you know, and from the beginning you realize it's gonna be the story of a lifetime of someone, you know, because in the beginning of the movie he's old and he starts remembering things from his past. So when I realized that's what it was, I thought, oh, this is gonna be like such an emotional, you know, story with such like a strong impact, and it under-delivered a little bit. I feel like it missed something to make it more memorable.
I mean, there's the one big emotional moment, of course, with his wife and his child-to-be. And you kind of guessed it because at the beginning, right, he's old and alone. And so you knew right away when he met his wife that, well, things are probably not going to end up the way like
he hoped.
Yeah, exactly. And in a sense it worked, right? Because the wife character is very endearing. As soon as you meet her, you like her. Everybody in the movie like her, right? She's written like that. It's on purpose so that when she's not there anymore you feel bad about it. But I feel like the fact that you knew beforehand kind of puts a layer between
you're prepared for it.
Exactly.
But yeah, either that or maybe the moment when the war comes would have worked as like the emotional pull of the movie, like the emotional center of the whole movie. But I feel like throughout the movie we have kind of like the same tempo, you know, as if everything is important. It's his whole life, and it is. I mean, you know, it's his whole life. But you don't feel like where is the essence of it.
I didn't like the war part though, because showcase not only like the impact of the war, because a lot of the kids that he saw grow up end up dead, right? And he's headmaster at some point. He has to read the names of kids that he knew and who are now dead. But also, interestingly, he reads the name of one of the teachers that used to work here,
right?
But who died for the German side.
Yes.
And I thought that was also very like powerful, right? In a sense. And even the kids afterward ask, oh, why did he read that name? That's the enemy. But to him, that was his friend.
But I feel like it's also because it showcases how the younger people for whom this war is everything in their life so far, they don't understand. He's already lived so much. He lived through a time when he made friends with people from other countries, including Germany, Austria. So he doesn't see the war the same way these young people see it, as like a total division between people. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting, and I'm not saying they didn't do a great job at showcasing that. I'm just saying as like a narrative line throughout the movie, you don't really feel one main element that would feel like is the high point of the movie.
The one element of the movie is the character, right? Mr. Chip.
Yes.
And in that sense, I thought that the actor did a really good job playing him, because from the moment you meet him, there's something that kind of makes you want to be on his side, right? He's the underdog.
Yeah.
Right? He's not loved that much by his colleagues or his students, and then you see the journey to the point where he becomes headmaster, or where everybody knows him, loves him. The fact that you see the journey also makes it more powerful, I think. Like seeing the end afterward when they're mourning for him, and the new headmaster is talking about how, right, he was wrong to even have thought to fire Chips at some point, right? Like how people kind of get attached to him regardless of the first impression that he might leave off. And that's the same thing he does with the audience, right?
One element about him that I really, really liked is at that point in the story, in the movie, when he ends up becoming headmaster, because of the circumstances, like he thought he was at the end of his career already, that it was over for him and he was never gonna be headmaster. But then, because of the unfortunate circumstance of the war, he does get the job.
They call him back for one last job.
Yeah. Like, I thought the element of surprise there worked really well. But yeah, you mentioned the character who is the center element of this movie. It's all about him. So I think it would be interesting to get to see who plays this character and all the other characters in this movie. The movie was directed by Sam Woods and Sidney Franklin being uncredited. However, in the beginning of the movie, there is a card that reads, "To Sidney Franklin for his contribution to the preparation of the production, grateful acknowledgement." So apparently, actually, Sidney Franklin was supposed to be the director originally. He was there for all the part before they actually started shooting. For whatever reason, he was not able to continue. And Sam Wood took over as director during filming.
Is it uncredited if they still kind of credit him though?
So his name is not in the
credits, yeah.
But there is this card to acknowledge. The movie stars Robert Donat as Mr. Chips. And an interesting fact here, Donat plays a character who ages over 60 years over the course of the movie. So that is an interesting trick to pull off. What did you think of his transformation throughout the movie?
I think it worked, right? It made me question, like, for a second, like, oh, was there an old man and a...
In the beginning of the movie, was there someone else?
Is it an old person playing Mr. Chip as the old man and then someone else playing it as his younger self? But then now you realize that it's makeup, but it's well done, right?
It's really well done, yes. However, I have to say, while when he's young, you can definitely see the difference. And then in the first half of the movie, you can see him kind of slowly advancing in age. Once he grows the beard, I don't see him aging anymore. He kind of looks the same, you know? So at some point, the 50-year-old Mr. Chips and the 80-year-old Mr. Chips kind of look the same. However, I think it was really well done. And not necessarily the makeup, but also just the way he plays the character. The behavior, you know, the body movements and all of that, the body language, I feel really is kind of spot on.
Yeah. But you're right that, like, from the moment we see him old, like, as soon as we see him old, he looks the same through the rest of the movie, mostly, right?
Yeah.
Even the time when he retires, which is years later, the time when at the end of the movie he retires again and then later even dies.
Yes.
He looks the same throughout all of that.
Yeah.
But before that, yeah, the evolution is really well made.
One thing that I wanted to mention about this character and the actor as well is how over time you see him not only aging on the outside, let's say, like the way he appears,
physically,
but also his behavior changes so much. You can actually feel the accumulation of experience and wisdom as the
time
movie
grows.
goes.
But I feel like a lot of it is the pivot from before his wife and after his wife.
Yeah, that is true.
She changes him. She changes the way he interacts with other people.
Yeah.
And then after that, that's when he becomes the Mr. Chips that everyone
Even the way
loves.
he interacts with his students, right, changes a lot because of her direct influence. The movie also stars Greer Garson as Catherine, the wife. What did you think of her character?
I think, like I said before, right, the character is written so that right away, not only the people inside the movie, Mr. Chip and everyone else, loves her, but also the audience, right? There's very little that you can point to about this character and say, this is bad, right? This is something a bad person would do. No, she's a wonderful person.
I do like that they made her that good of a person, you know, likable, but at the same time, convincing. You know, it doesn't seem fake. It doesn't seem like they just needed someone likable, so they just wrote a bland character that everyone would like, you know. You actually feel it, and you can see why people like her in the way she behaves and interacts with them. You can see why someone would get attached to her right away. Which,
of course, the goal is to then rip her away from you and have you be sad. Were you sad?
I actually was. Yes. Especially because as the scene was happening, I was realizing before it was happening what was going to happen, where this was leading. And it kind of, that anticipation of, oh, this is gonna be sad, makes things even sadder. Which is why I think that they wrote her character into the movie so well. It has the required impact, the necessary impact.
Well, like I said earlier, right, the fact that I pretty much knew she would die or leave, but leave didn't seem to be a plausible outcome for this, so I assumed that she would die, so I was kind of, shielded from the, oh, damn it, she's dead, like the sadness. I was sad for him, though. This is a very interesting scene, like he goes back to work right after, right?
Yeah.
And then the kids don't know and they're talking about her. It was a sad scene for him more so than for her loss, in my opinion.
With her appearance pretty late in the movie and then her death about halfway into the movie, that makes her performance be just under 25 minutes. One of the shortest performances in the Oscar history to have received a nomination for Best Actress.
Best Actress?
Best Actress,
oh,
yes. Not
supporting
actress.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's some supporting actress out there.
Not that one.
Yeah.
And also, the actress herself was very happy to play this role. She was very excited about it because actually she had been offered contracts from MGM years before the making of this movie. I have to mention here, she was a British stage actress. So she refused the previous offers until she got the offer for this role, for which she was very happy, and she decided to take it.
The perfect role for her.
Yeah, it paid off, right?
Got a nomination. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we're watching it, how long later?
Like 90 years later.
Yeah.
And the movie also stars Terry Kilbom as John Colley, Peter Colley, first, second, and third. So this is one actor who plays 4 generations of students taught by Mr. Chips. And I thought it was interesting and I had to mention it for this reason alone.
But that's also something, right? We were talking about how, like, from age 50 to God knows when he dies, he doesn't, like, look like he's aging that much, which made it kind of confusing at times when he was saying, oh,
yes,
I thought your grandfather, and he's talking to an adult. I'm like, wait, your grandfather?
Yeah, exactly. That's true. I feel like you have to follow the timeline of the story of the movie more from the perspective of the students and maybe other teachers around him. But it's pretty difficult because especially the students, they're all generations. This is the most important family of students that he teaches, the one that appears the most on screen. But all of his students almost.
Yeah.
Their fathers and grandfathers
came to the school too, yeah.
His students, exactly. So it's confusing at some points. And when he meets with some of the students in the hallway sometimes and they talk about his father or his grandfather, I'm like, I don't know who you are. I don't know which one of those
Which
others.
one was your father? Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. It makes it a little bit hard to follow from this point of view, but I feel like it leaves the right feeling behind it, right?
Yeah,
like,
especially
you get it.
With the lines that he says at the end, right? He had kids, thousands of them. This is one of the main feeling that the movie wanted to convey, is that he taught so many people and touched the lives of so many, not only kids, but generations of kids.
Right, exactly. Imagine from great-grandfather to great-grandson.
How quickly are these people having kids, though?
The movie was a great success. It was nominated for 7 Academy Awards and won 1. First off, it was nominated for Best Picture or Outstanding Production, as it was known back then, of course, that's why we have watched it. It was also nominated for Best Actor in a Leading Role for Robert Donat, which it won.
Oh, good for him.
That's its win. I think it's a great performance to win.
This is only the second movie we've watched of that year, but good pick, in my opinion, is good.
Yeah, in general, I could see this role, bringing the actor a win. The movie was also nominated, as I have already mentioned, for Best Actress in a Leading Role for Greer Garson, Best Film Director for Sam Woods, Best Writing Screenplay for Eric Majvitz, R.C. Sheriff and Claudine West, Best Sound Recording for A.W. Watkins, and Best Film Editing for Charles Friend. So yeah, that's about everything that I had to say about the movie. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about?
Just one thing. Remember that scene when he's doing his walkabout with his friend and he gets stuck in the mountains?
Yes. Right,
with the fog. That's where he meets his wife-to-be. What do you think of the mountain?
The mountain scene? The scene on the mountain? It was obviously filmed in studio, like with screens and everything else. But I don't know, I kind of like watching scenes like this, you know, how they were doing them back then. How hard they were trying to create an image.
But I felt, because I guess it's a choice, right? Because it's a lot out of the budget. Watching movies like Lost Horizons or Shanghai Express, like movies that have elements, The Good Earth, that are filmed outside. Even The Good Earth is not filmed in China, right?
Yeah.
But they found somewhere that, like, okay, we can film this here and make it look like maybe this is it, right? Couldn't they have found a mountain to film in?
But I think it would have been difficult, you know, on a mountain.
To replicate that same feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess.
But I just mean I think it would have been easier back then to film outdoors, but like in a field, rather than on top of a mountain.
That's a lot of money for that one
I'm
scene.
thinking, true, and it's only one scene. Yeah, that's also.
But it struck me as I was looking at it, like, oh wow, this is not outside. Not even that it's not a mountain. This is not outside.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. However, I feel like they made the scene look very romantic, you know, because it is a romantic scene. He meets his wife there on the mountain. I felt like from that point of view it worked. Like, I don't know, maybe with the lighting and everything, you know, they created the right atmosphere. Now, that being said, would you recommend this movie?
I would, you know, like I started the whole conversation by saying this is just a movie, and I stand by it, right? To me, like, if we're talking Best Picture, and I was one of the Academy members, again, I haven't seen all the 1939 movies, I'm not sure I would have nominated it, but that doesn't mean it's a bad movie, right? I would watch this movie again and still enjoy it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with your opinion here. I can see it being nominated, and it has certain elements at least that would push the movie for a nomination. Even with or without a nomination, I still think it's a great movie. So, yeah, I would also recommend it. Well, now I guess it is time for us to move on to the ranking. As you might already know, every year we are ranking the Best Picture nominees of that year according to our likings and preferences. And this year, so far, we only have one movie on that list, Dark Victory. So I guess my question is, where does Goodbye Mr. Chips stand compared to Dark Victory?
I would say number 2.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And then you're gonna ask me why.
Yes.
I have one word for you. I guess 2 words. Bette Davis.
Oh,
and
right.
This is it.
No, yes, I agree. Bette Davis, great performance there. But I don't think that's the only reason why I would put Dark Victory above Mr. Chips. I feel like also the fact that Mr. Chips' timeline is sometimes hard to follow, or at least the characters around and their generations are kind of hard to follow. Kind of like does drag back the movie a little bit. And also the fact that I feel like I missed that punchline of the story, you know?
But it's because that emotional anchor of the movie, the death of his wife, was kind of, in my opinion, telegraphed or foreseeable, which dampers it.
So that being said, the ranking of the 1939 Best Picture nominees as of now is at number 2, Goodbye Mr. Chips, and at number 1, Dark Victory.
It's a dark victory for Dark Victory.
And if you have also watched this movie, let us know what you thought of it by commenting in the comment section below, but also by rating it on our website. The link is in the description box below. Also, don't forget, we have watched this movie as part of our goal to watch every Best Picture nominee from 1927 to 2028. As of now, we have watched 99 movies as part of this goal.
Almost 100.
99! We're so close there. I like it so much. And the next movie that we're gonna be watching as part of this goal is Love Affair. So go ahead and watch it and come back for our next movie review.
And also don't forget to like this video if you did, comment in the comment section below, and of course subscribe if you're not subscribed already, especially if you're gonna go and watch Love Affair. You have to be subscribed to be ready for that review. And don't forget that if you also have a goal or a dream that you want to realize, take that first step.